All right, so it's July. So believe it or not, town hall is the first town hall, I guess, in July. It's crazy. I was looking back at the first town hall that we did, which was in March. So it feels like that was 2 years ago, and it feels like that was 2 weeks ago. So I don't even know. But it's, I don't know, it's been pretty crazy to see how much has been going on in the external environment and how much has also, I'll say, stayed the same, if not improved. And that's a kind of an interesting thing. And I was taking a look at that. I'm like, if we actually hit pause and we're looking at the results at a glance right now in a vacuum, not knowing what was going on in the environment, you actually wouldn't know that there was a world health pandemic, which is pretty crazy. I think that's something to be very proud of for all of you to be able to have the guts, quite literally, to show up and push through it, and the mental side of it. And I know there's some people that are probably a little bit mentally tired and using this week with Canada Day and a few other things to catch their breath, and that's perfectly fine. It's something you should absolutely do if you've earned it. And I think for me, like when I think about this is like the end of the first period, and there's an interesting a lot of shift in our business is the end of the first period, and it might feel like it's been, again, like 2 years. Maybe for some it feels like 2 weeks, but it's only the end of the first period. There's so much opportunity right now. I saw Carter, if you're on Carter or listening, in the WhatsApp, getting five leads this morning on his first job site. The market's still there. It's a different year. I know a lot of people use the word weird as a negative. For us, it might be the biggest positive, that it's a bit of a weird year. People are around. There's still tons of market, and for those that are continuing into the fall, which is the majority, seeing as how, classes are going to be a bit different, it's a huge opportunity for you. May and June is period 1, July, August is period 2, and September, October is period 3. So wherever you're at in terms of your progress, it's okay to take a quick breath. Just make sure you don't lose all your momentum and work through it. And today we're going to hear from some people that used last week to actually push that momentum significantly further ahead. So we've got Owen, Entrepreneur of the Week last week, and Olivia, our one and only, who was able to push it to the 30+% growth last week, which is awesome. So Owen, I'll pass it up to you. Take it away. I know you've had a bunch of consistent weeks. Last week, $7,000 booked and 7 produced. It's like that balance, and it's not something new for you over the last little while. So love to hear what you're doing to keep that balance, but also push the momentum on both sides of the business.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. I don't know exactly what, I don't have much prepared this time, but I guess to me what's been a huge help in terms of finding the balance is, I mean, especially for rookies, is being able to step away from production and to focus on, the marketing end of the business for me. Because at this point, I'm doing a good job of booking work pretty consistently. I got a good marketing team. And I think where it comes from on both the marketing side and the production side is creating systems that replicate your own results through your employees. So, with production, I have like AMs trained who, have come up with a really good system administratively and production-wise. Like it's almost as if I were on the job site at this point with how good they're getting. So they're really able to handle the full weeks, and then my only responsibility is making sure they're set up to do their job on those weeks. So, making sure the schedules, putting $1,300 days consistently in there in the right places, coordinating with the crew and making sure that they know exactly what they're doing. And then as far as the actual production goes, like I've totally stepped back from it now. And with the systems we have in place, I'm basically replicating myself on the job site with how good they've been and how successful they've been. I'm really thankful for my techs this year for sure. And then on the marketing side, I've trained a pretty big marketing team. They're all part-time, but I've got 6 of them now. And I've just spent enough time training each individual one with a script and, knowing what dates we want to book people on and what the estimates are going to look like and the different responses, rebuttals, I guess, so in a way, it's almost like there's 6 of me marketing at this point. Like last year, I know I had some trouble kind of getting my marketers to have the same results that I did, but by investing more time in training them, I've been able to, keep them doing an excellent job this year. We picked up, hundreds of leads at this point, and I've been really successful. And I guess that now, my responsibility is just sort of facilitating the efforts of my employees on both sides of the business. So, I'll drive the marketers from street to street and plan out the days. I'll go on Google Maps on the laptop and find nice new neighborhoods and suburbs and stuff like that. And I'll bring them there and direct them and coordinate it. And at the same time, I'm fielding phone calls from the crew, speaking to clients, calling ahead to make sure we're good for different times at different jobs, things like that. So for me, the consistency has really come down to just, replicating my own results through the people that I've hired. So I think that's been a huge key for me. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to talk about there, Aaron.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sorry, I had a question. How long does it take? So if you had a new person starting and you wanted to replicate it, is it 10 hours, 20 hours?
Like to train the employees, you mean? Yeah. So I guess, coming into production, I definitely had the idea in mind that I wanted to sort of be able to step back from it more comfortably than I did last year. Because I know that last year I did do it like as a rookie, but the NPS and stuff, I feel like suffered a little bit without me there. So by just investing a lot of time in the first 3 weeks, basically being on site with them and training them to be independent rather than training them to just clean windows. Like I would take turns having them lead the crew on different job sites and explain to them like how they should be coordinating other people rather than just how they should be doing their own job. So I think, by investing, I guess probably a good 80 hours in the crew at the beginning, it's been able to continue on with that. And then with marketers, I feel like if you actually spend like 10 hours with an individual, they're going to start to pick it up. I feel like, inevitably. So I'd say that's about how long it took. It's definitely easier with marketers, but with marketers, I feel like too, you want as many as possible. I feel like some people are reluctant; they're scared about the payroll costs rising a little bit, but you never know how it's going to go with part-time employees and stuff like that. So, to me, having like 6 of them, and then I'm going to lose 2 here in a couple weeks as they get their jobs back from the corona being over, or relaxed at least, but I still have 4, so I should be able to carry through July with 4, no problem.
One quick follow-up question as well is, I know a lot of people are like, I'd love more people, but how do I find them? So for you, whereas again, that's a fair number of people. So between your crews that you have and your marketers, I assume you have about a dozen people that are within your current organization.
Yes, somewhere around a dozen, probably, I guess 10.
So where'd you find them? I guess.
So where would you find them? I'd say like the easiest thing for me running a college pro business has always been hiring someone off Hireology and then just asking them if any of their friends want a job offering full-time, part-time positions. I got all my marketers to post an Instagram and Snapchat story talking about like if you're looking for a side hustle or a little extra cash, like DM me, and then they would send them to me and I'd get the resumes. I'd call through them and speak with them and, kind of filter them out that way. And then I think that if you really want more people, especially on the marketing end, you look through your Hireology and maybe there were a lot of people in there who you didn't end up wanting to hire for the crew, but you could certainly maybe give them a chance on marketing, there's a lot of ways you can motivate someone to be interested in the marketing position. I have marketers who are getting, I'm paying 15 a lead and there are people getting 2 or 3 leads an hour making pretty good money, so I feel like you could call through the Hireology people, maybe those that you didn't want to hire on the crew. But I guess with marketing too, if you're only paying by the lead, there's not really that much risk because, if they're not getting leads, they're not necessarily eating up much payroll. I put it that way. But I think you should be calling through all your old Hireology names. You should be asking every crew member if they have friends or siblings or what have you who are looking for jobs. So I think you should be really exploring all possible resources in terms of getting marketers, because it has been, the biggest difference between my business this year and last year is just being able to have 6 of me knocking on doors instead of just me all summer, because you get burned out and stuff doing that anyways. And I think it's not necessarily the best use of an entrepreneur's time. Better to be doing estimates than to be trying to generate leads yourself. You get 8 a day or at best and you're struggling through it. Whereas if you have 6 people and they only put in 4 hours a day, you're going to have 12 leads to 24 leads right there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, I think some people think it's too late, right? Like, it's too late. It's not too late at all. It's only the end of the first period. So it's awesome. And again, consistent themes and just week over week people. So having more people allows you to have more capacity, but then systemizing and taking the time and energy initially to train people. And we could go through, I'm sure, graduated learning and all those things that we talked about way back at TSB even. But that whole investment, getting the people on board and then spending the extra time and energy to get set up properly with systems and learning, and then it allows you to have, I guess, effective just capacity. So thanks, Owen. And again, nice work over the last little while. You really pushed
Thank you.
it.
Appreciate it.
Olivia, I'll pass it over to you. And again, Olivia, last week, definitely I'll say a momentum week for you. Again, going from where you were plus 30% in a week, right? And that was a big push. So I'd love to know. And you kind of cleaned up in the contest. You got yourself into that, and then they're probably the easiest draws you've ever won. 1 of 1, pretty easy draw to win. So again, congrats on your week last week, and I'll pass it over to you. Let us know what you were doing.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. So first of all, I think like the biggest thing that I've been doing like for the past couple weeks is like stepping off of the job site. I know a lot of people mention that, but I get my 2 techs to actually produce. I just let them know like it's an inside job, outside job, etc. Like what to do, and they're good. They can just go off and do it by themselves. And then I spend, I guess, the whole time either doing calls like PC calls or cold calling. So yeah, I guess I'm like full time like doing like marketing and stuff like that. So that's helped a lot. As well, I guess for me, like this past week, I haven't had like as many bookings as I had before. So I had like a free day with like no bookings. So what I did is I got one of my techs to spend like 8 hours, like the full day, doing cold calling. We ended up booking about like, I think $700 just on like that day alone. So that was great. So, you know, if you have like that many bookings for like a week or whatever, just spend like a whole day doing marketing. That's something that helped me a lot. As well, I've also been like getting better at I guess booking my estimates right away. So what I'll do is like I'll really try to push for like when I do an estimate, I'll try to push for them to book like on the spot. So that's increased like my success ratio a lot. And another thing, there was like a huge list of July callbacks that I had on my PC list. So I was able to call all of them, and I got a lot of results through that. And also as well, I booked a $3,000 job last week, which was insane. It was for like a senior day program building. So that definitely took me over the edge and put me at like that 30% growth. Without that, I probably wouldn't have been like that high. But yeah, those were like, I guess, the big things that I did. So I'll pass it back to you.
And what I'm hearing, a couple follow-ups for me, is just a ton of different tactics, right? So PCs, you're able to land a big job, which usually happens because you put yourself in a position to take advantage of the opportunity. And it's like, I got kind of lucky with a big job. Well, you can't really get lucky unless you're like ready to take advantage of the opportunity that's there, right? I know you've been working a lot with Dakota on some of the, I guess, just booking on the spot and working through some of that, which is fantastic. Just again, quick question would be, have you seen any momentum translate this week? Like you did a big week last week. Did it stay within that week, or have you seen some of the, again, callbacks and July callbacks and all those other things kind of transfer to the start of this week or into this week at all?
Yeah, like there's I guess a few PCs that wanted me to call them back this week that I was able to book. And as well, like I've been continuing to cold call like a lot full time as well. In between jobs, like I'll get my techs to do like an hour of cold calling or whatever. So just building that momentum. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, and I ask it because usually that's the way it goes, right? It doesn't stay like isolated in that week. You got, okay, well, like these calls I did last week, some more asked me to call them back this week. The behaviors that you had last week of that, you know, getting some cold callers or your marketer or your text to cold call in between jobs, like usually the work you do in a week doesn't stay within that week. It kind of goes into the next week, into the next week, which is what momentum actually is, right? So congrats, Olivia, last week. Great job. And I'm glad you got that big one. That's that helped a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
You got it. Tony, thoughts?
Was it come to me? Awesome. A couple things. One, if you haven't shown your GM some love lately, can you make sure you show them some love? Because they have been working their absolute butts off every day, since March. Not that they weren't last year or haven't before. Super proud of the general managers, and I got to tell you, the best part of my week is this town hall and looking and WhatsApp. Very, very inspiring. So that's awesome. I think what this is what it feels when you have a holiday in the middle of the week. It feels like you take a little bit of a breath. It feels like we're taking a breath before and the first period. That's a good way to do it. So it's a good time to reflect, pause, think about where you've been. I think everyone who is in this business as their first year, that's over. You can treat yourself like you've been here forever. And if you don't, that's your issue, but you can, because you have a lot of jobs under your belt right now. You can be thinking of it, just like Owen was talking about, last year and what he changed for this year. Start to think about that right now. And you can demand productivity increase of yourself. This is when it happens. When you think about it, reflect, say, I'm going to do things two to three times better or faster. In my experience, that's been pretty good. I'm sorry, but I've got to talk about the heat part of this, which is I do a lot of outdoor sports. I am packed with electrolytes and pills and to make sure I don't drop off my bike at times, and that's critically important. I don't do what a lot of you do and your techs do. It is like being a high performance athlete in the heat. People do it all over the time, all over the world in really hot climates. We should be able to deal with that. So electrolytes, lots of water, sunscreen. We have our heat policies, so follow all that. Just follow whatever an Ironman does in Hawaii for 100 degrees. Follow that, and you should be okay. And the last piece is really I'm going to be asking everyone for input. So I'm going to around how do we what would you like us to be focusing on, because the world is different. What would you like us to be focusing on August, September, October, November for you? Because the world is different for many of you in that time period, and how do we best take advantage of it to just explode past what we thought we could do. So I'm sending out some feedback. I want to hear how things are going, but also as we think about the next few months, let's design something that is beyond our wildest dreams on what we thought we could do. And I think it's that is what we're in right now. We're in incredible opportunities for that. So back to you, Aaron. Very inspired by what I'm hearing. And as I said, it's the best part of my week. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. And yeah, again, just to reiterate the heat, like it's just something that I wake up every morning and think about all of you guys. I think about it if I take my dog for a walk and there's dew on the grass. I think about making sure the ladders are safe on grass, and if there's a damp deck with the dew, and just that I'm hopeful that everyone's paying attention to that. It's supposed to be super hot. I hope everybody's got water, and you've got water for your techs. Like taking care of your people is such a huge important part of leading a business. Sunscreen, I remember being like, I don't need sunscreen, but it's such a huge safety piece right now. So make sure you keep that in mind as you go through the week. Again, take the breath that you need. But for Ontario, Monday, Tuesday, TS June, July. It's a huge opportunity to take a quick step back and refocus for the second half of the summer, which is essentially your second period. So keep that in mind. It's a bit different. I know sometimes for those, especially that have been around for a few years, you can get into this, like, and the full-time team has been talking a lot about making sure that our experience is not our restrainer, because it can be. I'm used to, this is my 15th cycle plus, maybe 16th cycle, whatever, a bigger number than I ever thought it would be. But through this, it's really weird after 15 of the same to try and work through a 16th differently to take advantage of an opportunity. And that's what this is for every single person. There is, no matter where you're at, you've heard me say it since January, you can do it. You can get to your goal. There's plenty of time on clock, but you got to go. And you can't lose all your momentum and take your foot off the gas. It's way harder to re-engage once you've lost that momentum. and you don't want to have to sprint the last 2 miles of a marathon just to try to hit the goal that you set out, which would be like cleaning windows in a snowstorm, maybe in November or whatever it happens to be to get there. So you can do it, take advantage of it. The opportunity is there. Really, it's just a matter of whether or not you're going to put yourself in position to take advantage of that opportunity right now. So congrats, Owen, on your week last week. Congrats, Olivia. Thanks for sharing what you guys have been doing. There's some common themes if you listen to all the town halls. It's about people. It's about investing time and energy. It's about getting proper systems. And it's, to me, honestly, the other thing that I hear is once you've done that, people aren't just like sitting at home. People are out using that capacity to do something with it. So have a great weekend, everybody. If you're spending time with friends and family, enjoy it. Get the deep breath that you may need to kick some ass starting next week in the start of what I guess will be the second period. So have an awesome afternoon, everybody. If you need anything, let us know, and we'll talk soon. See you guys.
Thanks, Aaron.